Finding life a bit complex? Confusing? Aware that your old strategies aren't working? Why not ask Pam and Marilyn? This is the Irreverent Therapists, and we're here to add some clarity, humor, and a bit of what might be considered blasphemy to your day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Irreverent Therapists. I am Pam Hodeling, and with me is my partner in crime, Marilyn Bradford.
Yippee!
So after a week off where we were having a wonderful time in Costa Rica, we are back live. So if you're listening to us, you have questions for us, you can go to our Facebook page. Go to Facebook and search on The Irreverent Therapists. If you type us a message there, we will address any questions you have as we do our show.
And I am monitoring it.
Yay!
I'm on it.
She's on it. So today we are talking about cracking the myth of the solid self. Many therapists, us included before when we were just doing traditional therapy, many therapists work to help their clients define who they are. Have you ever considered what a huge limitation that could be? Would you only wear one set of clothes your whole life? What if you could reinvent and redefine yourself on a daily basis? So, I think this is very appropriate, Marilyn.
Since we have no idea who we are or what's going on currently after that class in Costa Rica.
Yes, Marilyn and I were just in a 7-day advanced access consciousness class, and we have no definition right now. No sense of...
That's true, and that's a good thing, I would say.
It's a very good thing. And, and that's what we're talking about today because, like we said, many therapists, it's like you're trying to help someone figure out who they are as though that is a set thing that you could discover. And as you discover it, then you'll know what you want to do with your life and how to handle your problems and that kind of thing. And so what if there's a very different way of going about things? So Marilyn, I know you're the one who came up with this idea. Do you want to start out?
Sure. And I've been thinking a lot about it actually since we wrote the topic. And how both clients and therapists feel more comfortable if there's something clearly defined and solidified that they can then, quote, work with. Okay, I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I believe in open marriage. I believe in monogamy. I'm a I don't know what, Catholic, Muslim, Italian, whatever it is. Those definitions allow both the therapist and the client to then have something that they can, oh, yeah, okay, now I know what I am. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Now within the middle of that, I can figure out who I am. But if you actually go to the idea that you could be, you just could, I'm not saying you don't have to choose this, you could be an infinite being. You could be a being that had any choice possible, which is to say you could have been born, and I just use this because it's easy, female Italian Catholic or male Jewish New York, and I'm using American things, or Aussie, or anything, cultural, ethnic, religious, national,
economic.
Good one. Economic. And if you buy into that, you have just totally limited your world. But there's enormous pressure to buy into that. Mm-hmm. But if we actually look at people who've been willing, the great painters and artists and economists and political leaders, who've risen from and changed those definitions of self, you can begin to see that you have a lot more possibilities than you may have thought or been told you have available.
Well, and I'm going to, hopefully not derail us, just detour us a slight bit. Because you said something just a little bit ago that I really want to pick up on, which is, a lot of times a therapist and a client working together they're trying to identify like the problem. So now we know what to work on. And, a lot of times part of that is, oh, this person doesn't have very good boundaries, or they don't have much of a sense of self, or no self-esteem, or whatever. But that whole idea of, we need to define something so we know what we're working on. I was talking with someone the other day who's like a body energy worker kind of person, and she had done a session with someone who came back and was like, oh my gosh, I slept well for the first time in I don't know how long. Do that again, because I don't sleep well. And and this woman who I was talking with, was trying some different things in her energy work with this client, and what the client was saying is, it doesn't last. Like, I'll sleep better one night, but it doesn't last. And so this energy worker was looking for, like, the client had defined the problem. I'm not sleeping. I want to sleep more. You did something that helped me sleep, make it last longer. Right? And then the worker was trying to find the solution to, what can I do that's going to solve this problem? All of which has no question. It's assuming you know what's going on with the person in their sleep. I don't know. But to me, it just really highlights what we're talking about, where you go into these definitions, and then the only success for her is, can I find something that will help this woman continue sleeping longer? Which
so I'm
out all the other possibilities.
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Here. So what if I just want to sleep more? What if I want to feel comfortable with my religion, but I have anxiety about it? Or what if I want to have all those definitions?
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Well, so first what I'll say is to what if I just want to sleep more? Because my question was, well, what if there's something going on when she, that's waking her up, that if she actually asked questions and paid attention to it, might be a contribution to her, or something she might be a contribution to. Now, a lot of you might be going like, what do you mean? If I wake up in the night and I can't sleep, I take a sleeping pill and I go back to sleep. Well, I'm very used to whatever's going on, not coming to a conclusion about it and asking questions. What am I aware of? A lot of times for me, that middle of the night time, if I wake up, there's energy available that I can use to, like, ask questions, to have clarity on what I'd like to create in my life. It can be an amazing time for.
Okay. My sense is you're a little ahead of people, Pam.
Okay. I know. I'm sorry.
So what if we just put forth the idea of, what if waking up in the middle of the night, or whatever it is a symptom, not for a deeper rooted problem, but for something that you've not been willing to be aware of?
Yeah, that there's something more possible or more going on than I'd like to sleep.
Yes.
And, from that space, then the person working with her isn't just trying to find a solution to a defined problem. They can explore different possibilities.
Yeah, and I think that's really different.
Yeah. And, you said, what if about my religion, and I have questions about it and it's giving me anxiety? It's like, whatever it is, to me, as soon as you start to define, here's the defined limit of the problem or the issue or what happened to me, and what, this happened to me when I was little, so that means I am now fill in the blank. All of those very fixed, delineated definitions of you are a box you then have to fit into.
Okay, so we've got two things here. One is people who are presenting with what they've considered to be a problem, and the other is people who are presenting with fixed identities.
Yes.
And sometimes they get mixed up, like, I'm a Catholic, but I got pregnant and I really want to have an abortion, but I've got a huge conflict about that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that differentiation.
Yeah, no, and I think that's important, because when I said I was going to detour us, it was because somehow to me it was easier to talk first about the whole problem, defining a problem, and then to go into, well, how many ways do we use defining ourselves as a way to delineate a problem. You know, if I'm someone who's survived abuse and I'm constantly at the effect of the abuse I had and it's impacting my life in all kinds of ways, that's both how I'm defining myself and I've made it a problem.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So let me see. I'm just checking our time here. I just want to say, I really like what we said about would you only wear one set of clothes your whole life?
Yes.
Because it's like, you know, at least for me in the therapy I was on the receiving end of, as well as the therapy I was dishing out as a traditional
I like it.
therapist. You know, it was very much like there is a place to get to or a sense of self like that you arrive at. And once you do, you're good. Like you're good to go.
Right. Like if you just clear away all of this, you'll know who you really are.
Yes.
I'm a person who, anytime you say I am, you're actually limiting yourself incredibly.
Yeah. You know, what if it was in this 10 seconds? I am a person who likes pepperoni pizza. There's no ongoing, I've defined myself this way and I have to wear that same set of clothes the rest of my life. And, you know, yeah, I like pepperoni pizza in this 10 seconds. We can all see like that, you know, saying I like pepperoni pizza is not, or I am a pepperoni pizza lover is not something I'm going to lock myself into for my whole life. But I'm shy. I'm, you know, I don't like new challenges. I don't know how to take care of money. There's all these things that we judge. It's a lot of it, Marilyn, I think is judgments of ourselves that we then lock in as definitions.
Absolutely. Judgments, definitions, and I think we're about to go to a break.
We're about to go to a break. So when we come back, we'll talk more about cracking the myth of the solid self on the Irreverent Therapists.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Join Elliot Jolish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jolish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jolish Hour. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Irreverent Therapists, where we are talking about cracking the myth of the solid self. So I think as we left, we were talking about definitions, judgment.
Yes, all of those wonderful things.
All those heavy things. So what else, Marilyn, are you?
Well, I think one of the things to talk about is just, it's not just how much this, culture promotes that. It's the fear that surrounds people that they're not going to be, that if they don't have a solid self, how do they operate? I mean, what's actually going on with that? What do you mean I could choose anything? I'm the product of my history. I'm the product of my parents and my family and my culture. And I'm going to digress a little bit, but I think it's pretty relevant. It's that, in a lot of the work I do with addiction, and more recently, I've been tapping into some of the like blog sites and, with people with things like, I'm the daughter of an alcoholic, or what do you do when an addict has destroyed your family, and this and that, is that what I notice over and over and over again is that and I've made comments and people are furious. They're really like, how can you say something like that? But they totally, their whole life is based on the idea that that's who they are.
Yeah.
And that they're defined by that, and that they have no choice. And it's just like, wow, I almost don't even know what to do with it, because I think I'm so, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so this energy right here that we're kind of coming up against as we're talking, that's the energy of defining a solid self. It's like, this is what it is, this is who I am, and there's no changing it. I mean, I happen to know a teenager who's doing a whole lot of that. No one you know. But it's like there's no room for anything to change, no room for any to create any ease in her universe and in what's going on, because she's so solidly defining, here's who I am, and and how she's defining herself is really not very, not feeling very good about herself. And, it's, there's nowhere to go with it. Right. And it's almost like just in talking about it, we're hitting, there's nowhere to go on the show, because we're hitting up.
Because it's like you're just stuck.
We're stuck.
And that's a really good point, Pam, because what happens is people decide who they are, and they make it so significant and lock it in as so solid that there really is nowhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think both of us have experienced that frustration as a therapist with people who are like, no, you don't understand. This is it. This is the only possibility. So here's the thing about the solid self that I've just tapped into. If you actually believe, and I did, I mean, I'm not making this wrong because this is what we're taught, but if you're pursuing that solid self, you actually have no possibilities in your life. You might as well essentially be dead.
That
was kind of a strong statement.
I'm going to do what you do to me. I think people need a little more on that, Marilyn.
Well, it's like if you've decided that you are I've got to think of some other trite thing, but I can't really. Okay. A female German from Cologne whose Christian family has decided that you need to be a nun. I mean, I'm going off the wall. So you're entering a nunnery. Well, but but this is not all that different, that you are from Missouri and you need to be an engineer, or you are from Africa and you need to be, the head of the tribe, or whatever it is. You get locked into that. And when I say there are no more possibilities, you might as well be dead, what I'm saying is, in a lot of ways, your life as an individual has ended.
Yeah.
Because you cannot express anything that is not through the filters, the multiple filters of the roles that you've accepted as who you are.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, because it's... I think as we've been talking about this, it would be easy for someone to say, well, why not define myself? How is that limiting? And, what you just said of if you think of every I am, I am, like I said, I am shy. I am, working class. I am Indonesian, like whatever it is, all of those I ams are a filter, adding filter after filter after filter to how you can both perceive the world and what you'll allow in from the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, I'm just about on the floor from that awareness.
I liked it.
So I think we're getting somewhere with sharing what it is about defining yourself that's so limiting. So what do we do with that?
Well, I think we start with, what have you made so vital about defining yourself that keeps you from the questions, choices, and possibilities that could create way more in your life?
Yes. Oh, excellent question.
And everything that is, here's the clearing statement, which I know you will talk about. Can we destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, only shorts, boys, and beyond.
And that clearing statement that Marilyn just used, right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds, it's like an energetic eraser. You're basically, you're going to the point where you first created that limitation, that conclusion, that judgment, whatever it is that you're using against yourself, and it erases it so that you're not subject to that anymore. And you can read more about the clearing statement at theclearingstatement.com and the accessconsciousness.com websites. So, so can you repeat that one, or did I talk so much you forgot it?
No, I probably can't repeat it, but let's see what I can do here. What have you made so vital about defining yourself and, defining yourself.
Well, you said that keeps you from the question.
Yeah, I got that part, but there's something else I want to add here. Defining yourself, and it's something about accepting roles or stepping into roles, or what have you made so vital?
Defining yourself and taking on your assigned roles.
Yes. What have you made so vital about defining yourself and taking on your assigned roles that keeps you from the possibilities, choices, and, keeps you from the possibilities and choices that would allow you to step into way more than you've ever imagined was possible?
Everything that doesn't allow that, destroy it and create it, times a godzillion.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. I want to just do a little aside, because what you saw, or what you heard, because this is radio, what you just heard Marilyn doing is she was looking for the words that matched the energy of what she was aware of how we limit ourselves. And so just to let those listening know, it's like you can do that. We will ask some questions and use the clearing statement, but you can also create your own clearings. If you're aware of, there's this kind of energy I'm trying to get at with this, even as simple as whatever this energy is, whatever it's going to take to clear it, right and wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. So, that's way lighter. Thank you.
Yeah, that is way lighter.
I know we don't usually do a lot of using the clearing statement, but let's do that again.
So what have you made so vital? Gosh, I have total CRS.
I can do it.
All right, you do it.
Okay, what have you made so vital about defining yourself and taking on your assigned roles that keeps you from the questions, choices, and possibilities that would allow you to create greater in your life?
Yes.
Everything that doesn't allow that, will you destroy it and create it times a godzillion?
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, POD, POC, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, so that's one thing. If you're sitting here going, I really do define myself quite a bit, and I'm getting what you're talking about, and I'd like to change it, the clearing statement is a great way to do that. One of the many tools that can help you become much more undefined. And, it's like you might be wondering, well, what if I'm so undefined, then what? Well, Marilyn and I are both experiencing that quite
right now,
dramatically right now, where it's like everything that's the usual go-to position isn't there. And So, and I'll just give an example of that. So I usually have a little routine of what I do to get ready for this radio show. I'm getting a drink, I'm rebooting my computer, I'm shutting off my phone so the phones don't ring, all these kinds of things. And as I went to come to the show today, I was like, what's required here? What can create a greater ease with this radio show? So when there isn't the definition and the reference point, all there is question. Yeah. It's like you have to be in the question of, oh, who am I today? What's up? What would I like to create? Because you don't have all that definition telling you what you have to be and have to do.
Right. And I'm going to start on a topic related to that, which we may need to pick it up after the break. We've still got a little bit of time, but and it's going to sound like I'm not talking about it, but I actually am. One of the things that I often run up against when I'm working with alcoholics and addicts or eating disorders or whatever it is, it doesn't matter whether it's drugs or sports or workaholism, is that people say, I really want to limit my blank, the amount of alcohol I'm drinking, the amount of hours I'm working, the amount of money I'm spending, but I don't want anything else in my life to change.
Only one thing is going to change.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same.
And this is, and they have defined themselves as a person who overspends, or you're even told to, I'm a bulimic, I'm a gambler, I'm a this, I'm a that. If you begin to change that, everything else in your life has to change, which includes all the definitions you may have of yourself, such as being the black sheep of the family, or being the screw up, or being the this, or being the that. And it's massive. And I think that's one of the things that people don't really get. Or maybe they get it on a sort of an unconscious level, which is why they're like, I don't think I really want to change anything.
Yeah. Well, and on that note, we are going to go to a break, and then we will come back for more of the Irreverent Therapists, where we're talking about cracking the myth of the solid self.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Are you ready to shift your energy, consciousness, and limiting beliefs? Join me, Shefali Burns, every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Shifting with Shefali here on OMTimes Radio. Shift the blocks, limitations, and negative energies that have kept you from experiencing a life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Are you ready to shift with Shefali? Are you ready to shine your brilliance?
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, sea-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Irreverent Therapists, where we are talking about cracking the myth of the solid self. Well, Marilyn, you were kind of dropping a bomb right before we went to
I was.
just a little one. But then we are the Irreverent Therapists. But
We are.
I wanted to pick up on what you were saying, because you were talking about, the I am bulimic, I am, all those things. What I was thinking about is, like, I say, okay, I am an alcoholic. That is like etched in stone. Whereas if I say, in this 10 seconds, the drinking of alcohol I'm doing is not working for me.
Well,
And
how about, can I stop you right
yeah,
there? What if you say, in this 10 seconds, I'm drinking more than I would like to drink, but I am changing that.
yes. That has such a different energy than I am an alcoholic.
Exactly.
And I know there's a lot of programs and things based on, stating, I have this problem, and I'm not, meaning to diss any of that, but I'm just looking at so much of the work that Marilyn and I do has to do with working with the energy of things, and where are you creating it easy to change things and change the energy of things, and where is it so solid and rigid and stuck that it's very hard to change things?
Yeah.
And so to me, all those I am whatever, I am a bad mother, I am, it's all making things so rigid that it's almost impossible to change it.
Oh, absolutely. You can't change it. If you say I'm an alcoholic, I'm a bulimic, once you define yourself, then you have to act it out. You have to be that.
Yeah.
And that's why I ask people to change from the I ams or identities to naming the behavior.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that they're in the process of changing it.
Well, you know what this makes me think of? It. I can't honestly recall if I've brought this up on the show or not, but at one point I fell down a flight of stairs and I ended up having chronic back pain for many years and quite debilitating stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I can remember sitting at a traffic light, driving my car, and thinking if someone could wait. And so most of my life revolved around the doctors, the physical therapists, the things I can't do, the things I can do, but only so much and all that, right? So I was sitting there at this traffic light and it was like, oh my gosh, if someone could wave a magic wand and totally heal my back, my whole life was organized around and oriented around being someone with chronic pain. And I was like, and so to put it in the words we've been using, I'd so defined myself by the fact that, a big challenge in my life was pain. But I had so defined myself by that if the pain went away, I would still be that limited person.
Yes. And that's huge, Pam.
Right.
Because what a lot of people do is whether it's I'm a good mom.
Yep.
Or I'm a successful business person, or I'm a Muslim fighter, or whatever it is, once they define themselves, then that's all they can be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that's what you allow to show up. It's, another way, I'm just trying to think of all kinds of different ways we can talk about this is, say you defined yourself as I am someone who, like blue does not exist in my world, right? It's like you've decided blue is terrible color. I will not have it, right? And you're, so basically, you're going to have one of two things. One, either you're going to constantly notice all the blue because it's driving you crazy because you hate it so much. Like you're bringing it more into your life because you're so resistant to it, or you cut all that out. Okay, no blue exists in my world. Think of everything in the world that has some amount of blue in it. All of that would be gone. That's not available to you.
Oh, wow. I like that.
All that you can choose from. You can't have any blue fruit. You can't have any blue colors. It's a silly example, but that's what we do. And so when I was defining myself as somebody with chronic pain, basically most of the rest of the world was unavailable to me to choose.
Wow.
Because it didn't fit in with the definition of what I was. And as soon as I realized that, and I was like, oh wait, I have to change how I'm organizing my life around this. And then I'm either going to be someone who has pain or doesn't, but I'm not going to be limited by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's incredible.
And it happened that helped it all go away. So
wow.
Well, actually, and here's another example, because as soon as I started changing everything I'd set in place around it, that's when I started finding people to work with that really allowed me to change my body, what was going on.
Yeah, and it's the thing about the willingness to be undefined is it's shaky ground. It's being willing to be on quicksand.
Yeah.
It's being willing to let go of your past, to let go of everything, and to really actually be in the moment and go, okay, so what would I choose? Oh, Pam.
Yes.
It's well,
it's going off.
That it's moving from definition and receiving and, okay, this is who I am, to, oh my gosh, I could choose anything.
Yes.
I've always defined myself as an introvert, but I could actually choose to be an extrovert. I've always defined myself as a kind of tee-hee-hee, ha-ha-ha, girly, but I could actually choose to be a warrior woman. I've defined myself as the greatest mom in the world, but I could actually choose to say, you know what, kids, I'm going to be there for you, but you've chosen this, and you're on your own, but I'm also going to be creating and generating my life. So it's huge, and it takes a lot of courage. I think that's what I'm going to say.
Yes, it does, because it's like jumping off the cliff into
and
you don't know whether, you're going to splat on the bottom. It's going to be
I splatted
thing that you can bounce on, or if a giant, cosmic hand is going to come out and catch you, or you're going to sprout wings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, it's like, it really is the choice between being straitjacketed by your definitions and your judgments and what you feel you should be.
Yeah.
It's the choice to stick with that, or to say, no matter what it takes, no matter what it looks like, I'm choosing to be me. And I don't care if I splat or if I sprout wings, but whichever one, Every time I've chosen so far, I've never splatted Marilyn. It's always been something better.
Yeah, but you have to be willing, truly.
You do have to be willing. There was something in what you're saying that I thought of, and I forgot. Oh, I know. So we were talking about, different ways of coming out of definition. And there's actually a clearing that Marilyn and I both use a lot. And it's, what energy, space, and consciousness can I be to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, and significance, out of linearity, and out of concentricities for all eternity. Did I get them all?
You did.
Okay. And so you say all that, and then everything that is, destroy it, uncreate it, times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And I can tell you right here, people are going to be people are going to ask, what do you mean being out of control?
Yes, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about being out of control.
So being out of control, it doesn't mean, okay, now I'm going to go crazy and tear up my room. But it's not the same as being uncontrolled. It's being beyond control.
You better talk about that.
I am, but I am looking to you for assistance.
Oh, okay.
I have no brain cells right now, Mary.
Okay, so
this
being control where you're trying to, like, okay, Sally needs to do this, and if I can just make Mike do that, and if I can make sure we do the timing exactly right, blah, 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 I got it. How well does that usually work, and how much energy does it take? I would say kind of enormous.
Yeah.
Out of control does not mean you're dancing on tables drunk. It's really about you're in a space where you're not the effect of anything so that nothing can actually control you. So it's like if I'm out of control, that means and I'm just going to do a sort of a fantasy here. My father, who's actually deceased, but, tells me, you have to do blah, 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 blah. And instead of aligning and agreeing and resisting and reacting, I go, well, that's his interesting point of view. Okay, never mind. What am I going to choose? It's where you're not the effect of anyone or anything, which is also part of the undefinable thing that both Pam and I have been looking at. It's not about being rude or mean or nasty or cruel or anything. It's just about recognizing that everybody else wants to control you, basically. And it's up to you to go, am I willing to be controlled by that person or not? And if you're not, that's what being out of control actually is. That you're like, I totally I totally get where you're coming from. You would like me to blah, 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 be blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't work for me. So I'm going to choose this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when we get back, we can talk a little bit more about that. We are the Irreverent Therapists, and we're talking about cracking the myth of the solid self. Ooh. We'll have a quick break, and then we'll be back for the last portion of our show. If you have questions for us, go to our Facebook page and post them there.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know. I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
and welcome back to the Irreverent Therapists, where we are talking about cracking the myth of the solid self. You know, Marilyn, right there before we went to break, you were talking about out of control and what that is.
Right.
And you know, I just wanted to highlight, you know, because you said it's not about being rude to people. It's basically, to me, it's when you're willing to be out of control is when you truly do have total choice, and you can actually include an awareness of everyone and what's being created in your choice. When you're at the effect of everyone is when you're much more likely to be doing the self-centered, I'm looking out for number one, because you're just trying to survive.
You're trying to survive. Exactly. Yeah. And I think the thing is, a lot of what we're talking about is the willingness to not be the effect of either the culture you were raised in, the family you were raised in, the points of view you've heard, but to actually come to a space of true choice where you can look at everything without aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting, going, you know what? Okay, this works for me. This doesn't work for me. This is what I like to choose. And that, to me, Pam, was one of the biggest, I don't even know how to call it, you know, but when like Gary said to me, Marilyn, I want you to take a couple of days and just look at what would you actually like your life to be like?
Yeah.
What's the energy of it? What would you like to be? What would you like to create? And what would you like to choose without considering, well, no, that's not true. Okay. Because there is the kingdom, it gets kind of clunky here because there's the kingdom of we. It's not like, what would I do in a vacuum? But it is what's actually going to expand my life, my living in a way that's a contribution to all.
Right.
Sorry, I seem to have a little respiratory thing here.
Well, and without reference to anything you've decided you're doing or you should be doing or what people expect you to be doing, like it was, you know, you didn't say those words, but that's the energy of it. What do I choose? What would I like to create my life as, without regards to all this other stuff? Meaning without regards to the limitations and the definitions.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, creating with the awareness of everyone else and everything else is a totally different thing. You know, I'm coming back to the whole thing of, you know, therapists and clients and stuff like that. Like we basically what I say is, if you feel like people are like directing at you that you're this, you know, let's define you this way, let's define you that way. You know, what can you do there? Well, one of the things you can do is use the clearing statements that we've done on this show. You can also, because Marilyn, you referenced it, but I just want to highlight it, the Access Consciousness tool of interesting point of view. Yeah. Because it is, you know, say your mother's saying to you, I didn't raise you to be this way. I can still remember it when my ex-husband, his mom was like, I raised you to be a Southern gentleman. He's like, Mom, I have no idea what that even means. You know?
Exactly.
In her mind, there was this whole Southern code that, you know, and he did grow up in the South. He had no idea what she was talking about.
Right.
You know, but so in that moment, that's just an interesting point of view. It's a point of view that she has. It's just an interesting point of view. And you actually use that tool by saying in your head, like, interesting point of view. She has that point of view. Or if I'm going to, I am blah, blah, blah. Interesting point of view. I have the point of view that I am anything particular.
You know, and one thing I want to say, and this is another like kind of bomb, I guess, but it's just to give people this awareness that anywhere you have defined yourself as a this or that, it's a lie.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you want to believe it. It's okay if you decide to say, I mean, even things like I'm straight, I'm gay, I'm I can't even think. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I'm a protester.
Oh, I've got one.
Yeah.
Because this is like, okay, so say I weigh 250 pounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 5'5", right? Mm-hmm. So people can get an idea of this would be a person with quite a bit of weight on them, right? If I say I am fat, that's actually not true. It's like, because fat is a judgment in our in this world, right?
Oh, cool. All definitions are a judgment.
All definitions are a judgment. You know, if I was like, oh, I weigh 250 pounds, I'm 5'5", and, you know, I weigh more than I'd like to. That isn't a judgment. That might be an awareness.
Right.
And from that, you can start asking questions. So what would it take to change this? From I'm fat, that's like so rock solid.
Solidified. Yeah.
It's very hard to change that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you can get that every single definition is a judgment and therefore a lie because it's arbitrary, and it's a funny word to use, a lie, but I want to put that in there because it is, and I would really like people to get that. Mm-hmm. And even
things like I'm kind.
Yes.
That, even though that you're like, oh, that's a good judgment.
Yeah,
exactly. Still a judgment. It's still a limitation.
It's still a judgment. It's still a limitation. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you didn't have a solid self, who would you be?
Anybody you choose.
Yep. Everything that is, would you destroy and create it times a godzillion?
Yep.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, penalty, shorts, boys, mountains. And another thing I want to bring up is, in general, we create the solid self in reference to others. Like, I'm the smart sister and she's pretty, or I'm the pretty sister and she's smart, or I'm the generous person and my coworker is the stingy one, or the tyrant, or the this or that. So one of the things I think it's really helpful for people to look at is, how are they defining themselves in terms of other people?
Oh, yeah, because like, say you were just on a deserted island.
Right.
The birds and the plants and the bugs. It's like you wouldn't be sitting there going, I'm nicer than that bird.
I know that bird is really jealous of me.
I'm fatter than that spider.
I like it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, but it's like, because nature doesn't judge. It's, the bird isn't waking up going, I'm having a bad hair day, I'm not going to sing.
Bad feather. Yeah. So what if you were willing to just take a look at the definitions you have of yourself? The good daughter, the responsible mom, the hardworking dad, the sports fiend, the Republican, the conservative, the fiscal conservative, the social liberal. What if you were willing to just take a look at those, and instead of defining yourself that way, look at what that actually means to you, and if there are ways in which you've locked yourself into something that maybe you don't actually desire to be locked into.
Well, and one of the access tools that I really enjoyed playing with this is the idea of, I'm playing at being a mother today.
Oh, yeah.
I'm playing at being a Republican today.
Yeah.
Because it gets at that energy of you choose every 10 seconds who you are and how you're showing up. And if you're not doing this super defining thing, then it's a choice every moment. And that I'm playing at, I'm playing at being an absolute bitch today. Because it is just for the moment, and you choose again.
And one of the things I've really been looking at, because I actually get the paper these days, and it's Political Times in America, and I've always looked at politics and gone, ugh. And now I'm asking questions like, what is that energy? And the energy is that everybody is defining things and taking a stand. I'm a person who believes in abortion. I'm a person who doesn't believe in abortion. I'm a person who believes that immigrants should be stopped at the border. I'm a person. I mean, the solidity of the definition. If you are interested in having just an energy of what we're talking about, Get the energy of the political stuff that's going on in America right now. And it doesn't matter if you're on the left, right, or middle.
Yeah.
They all have that same energy of solidification where there's nowhere else to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. There's no possibility. There's just an I am. Anytime you have an I am, you just screwed yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, let's do like a little 30-second takeaway.
Okay.
If we're going to impart any last words.
Just check all the ways you've defined yourself and ask yourself if that is all you truly desire to be. Or if there could be some other possibilities and if you would like to have more in your life. That's my takeaway.
Oh, that's a brilliant takeaway. I'm not even going to try to add anything to that because I think that just sums it all up. But, you can listen to this again and grab the tools that we were using. We're going to have a fantastic show next week. I have no idea what it's going to be.
We knew what it was, but we lost our notes.
We lost our notes, but we had come up with something really good, and I'm sure it'll either come back to us or we'll find the notes. My job is finding the notes. But anyway, we will be back next week with another live show. And you can go to our website, theirreverenttherapist.com, and communicate with us through there or through our Facebook page, The Irreverent Therapists. And we will be back with you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.